The Switch 2 is coming out on June the 5th in just a few months' time. Nintendo announced the pricing, so we're here to talk about all things pricing for the system, the games, and some of the accessories as well. I'm not here alone, though. I have my friend Connor and my friend Mark, if you guys want to say hello, Connor.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me once again. We do have a long discussion video out that's just over an hour about the Switch 2, going over the background of the system and details about that. We didn't talk about pricing in that video, so that's what this is all about. So the Switch 2 looks obviously incredible. It's much more powerful than the Switch 1, but let's talk about the pricing, of course. It's a little bit more than what the cost I thought was going to be. So it's $450 US, and right now you can't pre-order it in North America. It's on pause because of the situation in the world. But first of all, what's your gut reactions, guys, for the $450 US price point? Mark, what are your thoughts?
It's now competing in the range of the other consoles, which we'll see. I hope it's worth it, and I think I'm still okay with it, but I feel it's going to limit a few households.
It's a lot of money. It's just so much money in this kind of economy right now. A lot of money to spend on something that is like not at all a requirement. Connor, what are your thoughts on the $450 price point?
Yeah, I mean, for my personal demographic of like where my friends and I line with Switch, it's always that console that we've had along with another console, right? It's the console you pull out when you have friends over. It's the console you sit down with your wife or your partner and play games on, right? It's that console where it's like maybe you're a PlayStation gamer, maybe you're a PC gamer, but you have a Switch. It's never been in a price point where you maybe had to think about it, right? You bought a Switch and then you'd add on games slowly and stuff like that. So for me, this price point is scary. Like Mark mentioned, you're kind of getting closer to that other console race. But once again, with inflation, with the year we're in, maybe it makes sense.
The price of the system now is very much similar to PS5. And I don't think the PS6 is coming quite anytime soon. I feel like the PlayStation 5 is here to stay for, I would think, at least a few more years. Nintendo kind of always goes to their own tune when they release their systems and everything. But this price point did sort of shock me. I was expecting $400 US, not $450. So it was a little bit more than what I was like hoping for. The OLED you can see on the screen right now you can get for $350. And the Switch 2 is not an OLED screen, but it is a bigger screen. So it's a little bit better in terms of screen size, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it's better in terms of everything else. So let's just compare the systems going back, because adjusting for inflation, this graph was developed, and it kind of just puts into perspective how much systems have been in the past. This is far and away Nintendo's most expensive system at retail for $450 US. The Switch 1 being $300, the Wii U being $300, the Wii being only $250. And then the previous systems, three systems, the GameCube, the N64, and the Super Nintendo were only $200 US, and then the NES was $179. But here are all the prices adjusted for inflation. Mark or Connor, does anything jump out at you from looking at this now, adjusted for inflation?
For me personally, like when you look at the first four consoles, they were still a big player in the console race, and the prices it makes sense, right? Because they were competing with Xbox and with PlayStation, and it makes sense why they're priced where they were.
Like they undercut the other systems for PlayStation, Xbox at the time, Dreamcast as well.
Yeah. And then you look at the GameCube, and then you look at the Wii, right? And that's kind of where they went off into that niche market, and they were like, we know what we have, and we're going to be in that market. We're going to basically have that market share to ourselves. Right, we're gonna let the other two fight it out, and this is what we are. And they were successful in that market space. And so to see the Switch 2 kind of jump back to that original, like if you just look at the other four at the top, back into that market share where it's like it's higher than I'd expect. I kind of thought it'd be more in line with the Switch. So yeah, I'm just surprised, to be honest.
Mark, any thoughts from you, especially comparing to the other systems?
It's their price point being higher for the first few is a little bit understandable, because at that point, like when the Nintendo came out, it was brand new technology. Or not brand new, but it was still very new technology. It was hard to make computers smaller. So you can at least argue on that end that it was still something new to society almost. But the Switch 2, I agree that I thought it would be something along the lines of the Switch pricing, because it's not new technology, it's just stronger technology, which everything kind of follows suit. So that big of a price jump between the two is a little shocking.
In the past, Nintendo has overpriced a few of their systems before. I remember the 3DS, I think, was originally priced at a very high price point. And after a few months, they brought the cost down. There's been a huge undertaking from the fan base trying to say, lower the cost, Nintendo, lower the cost, Nintendo. I've seen that a lot on their live streams when they're showing some of their gameplay. And, like, I do tend to agree. I think $400 would feel a lot better for the market, especially in this economy with everything's going on. Part of me, though, wonders if there's going to be a lot of people like us that are going to buy it in day one almost no matter what the price. Just like Apple's strategy. You can charge almost whatever you want on day one. There will be... Your hardcore fans are going to purchase it no matter what you kind of charge. And then if they need to drop the price, like they will, and that sucks for us being the first people buying it or the first to the market getting it, to kind of be that new person with the system. But $450, yeah, it's kind of high. What the system can do, though, compared to a Steam Deck and what the Joy-Cons can do, the price makes sense for what the tech, I think, has in the system right now, especially if you're trying to future price this for the next, like, 5 or 6 years, 7 years. Like, $450 right now seems kind of high and crazy for pricing, but maybe it won't in 2 years. Like, maybe when the next systems come out or whatever, and they're like $800 or $1,000 for the PS6, this now looks like a good price. Because inflation keeps happening, obviously, and keeps increasing prices.
I'm just looking at the Wii and the Wii U, and it's like they did that $50 price bump, right?
Yes.
And it's like Switch to Switch 2, why not do the same thing? Like, if it was a $349 or a $399, like, I think a lot of people would have... Like, there wouldn't even be a conversation.
Yes.
To be had. But the $299 to $450.
It feels excessive. Like, even for inflation, the Switch 1 being $387.
And maybe that's their justification of it.
Yeah, maybe. But, like, the Switch 1 for inflation being $387 really makes me feel like the Switch 2 sweet spot should have been $400. For their base model especially. And then you have the pack-in game, and maybe you also include the camera and whatever, and you have a higher expensive one. I know they have the Mario Kart pack-in one. So, like, with the adjusted for inflation, the GameCube, when they started to kind of do their own thing, the system really didn't sell that well. The GameCube really only sold, like, 22 million, I think, units. The N64 sold, like, 32 million. And then the Super Nintendo was, like, 50 million, and the NES was 60 million. So, like, the price, like, while it stayed about the same, like, their sales went way down over time. And then the Wii was their home run, where it still felt like it was a lot cheaper, and like Connor, you suggested, so many families had a Wii, and then they had their expert console. So then they had an Xbox or a PlayStation, but they also had the Wii. I don't feel like the Switch 2 is going to be that system, at least not for now. It's not going to be like, I want the PS5, and then I'm also going to have a Switch 2. Like, it's really hard, I think, for families to afford both.
Which is so sad because the Switch was that console.
Exactly,
right?
It was.
Like, the Joy-Cons with, like... So I have 2 nieces, and, like, I think the most fun thing for me is when you play Mario Kart with, like, younger kids in the Joy-Cons right now, like the last Mario Kart, you can hand them a Joy-Con and you can set the difficulty with, like, basically it adjusts their steering and everything, and they're having fun, right? You can't do that on the other consoles. Like, there's no games for them like Switch has.
Yeah,
so
not really.
So
They've
now,
tried, but...
So now you're asking families to choose, and it's like if you have young kids or you have a kid that's like a mid-teen, it's like you're in this weird kind of realm of what do you buy?
I almost wonder if they priced it. I mean, I think everything going on in the world with the tariff situation and everything obviously scared them, and that's why they paused the pre-orders. But if the tariffs still hit and they're still around North America, the price might not be $450, and like that's why Nintendo's paused. I hear Nintendo's stockpiling millions of consoles for the North American release from Vietnam to try and send them all to North America without the tariffs. But the price might go up. It might go up for Canadians also. In Canada, the price of the system, I think, is $630 Canadian dollars. So with tax for us, that's going to be over $700 for a system, which just feels... It just sounds crazy to say it. But houses have gone up since we were kids, and ridiculous prices with inflation and everything. So the system itself, $450. That's adjusted for inflation compared to everything else. It is not their most expensive system ever, but let's face it, it's their most expensive system since the Super Nintendo was released. Back in, like, 1991. So, yeah, it's been a very long time since Nintendo's ever charged this sort of money for a system, and it feels like it hurts the general consumer. In terms of games, the cost of games is also going up. So it's not just regular items, it's the cost of everything. Here we're looking at all the accessories, but it seems like games like Mario Kart are going to be I think they were saying $80, right, for Mario Kart? Pretty sure. Yes, Mario Kart 8 is going to be an $80 game at launch, US dollars. That means in Canada it's going to be 100, 110.
Yeah. That's
That
a lot.
seems like a lot.
So
like
the
a
one-
lot.
The one thing that a lot of these developers are talking about right now too is there's an awkward point in pricing games right now for like the community of gamers is like looking at it being like we're used to a price point, right? Like as we've grown up, it used to be like the $49.99 and then it jumped and then all of a sudden it was like $70 and now we're at kind of the 80 price point. But a lot of people that develop these games, it's like we want to price it based on hours played.
Very true.
Yeah, right? And so it's like for other consoles, everyone is freaking out about what Grand Theft Auto is going to cost. Because if that's what they're doing, it's going to be a $150 game and there's going to be add-ons.
I bet you it's at least the price of what Mario Kart World is, but I think it should be more.
But
for
that's the
hours
thing
played.
is hours played Mario Kart.
Hours played. Like
Well,
Mario
but-
Kart's crazy. Fortnite's crazy for
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So, but it's like
Minecraft.
I like when I look at it, it's like I am going to have Mario Kart because if I have people over, we're playing the new Mario Kart. If like I have my nieces over, they're playing Mario Kart. It's that game that is timeless. It's the game where it's like hours are going to be put into it. The shared screen option, if you're playing with friends online, you're playing Mario Kart. It's going to be fun. 24 racers in every race. You can do the knockout thing. I think that's going to open every. It like $80 doesn't seem that crazy to me.
It doesn't for me either. Looking at these prices, because I don't want to say I hate the fact that prices are going up for games. I hate it, first of all. First and foremost, that sucks. However, like thinking of our childhood and how much prices of games were, it varied horrendously depending on the game. Looking at our screen right now, Earthbound here, $90. It came, though, with the guide, the scratch cards that you could smell and everything, so there was bonus stuff in there. But, like, Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, $80. This is 30 years ago. This is a really long time ago for these games to cost that much. Sure, some of them are $65 or less expensive, but, like, this was the Killer Instinct was $88 back then. This isn't the only image that I found, even from a magazine of how much things were. It's hard to see zooming in, but $76, $73 for these home console games. Handheld ones were half that price, but Pilot Wings being $60. A $60 game adjusted for inflation today would be $200 probably. Like it'd be triple what that was. So like realistically, if games cost for us on average $60 when we were kids, technically by inflation standards, yeah, they should be $180 to $200 a game now. Going to the movies was $5 when I was growing up. My mom, she said it was 10 cents in the 1950s when she was growing up. For a dime, she could go to the movies with her brother, get popcorn and a drink for a dime, both of them. And then it was like $5 for us, then $10, and now movies are 10, 15, $20 if you want to see in 3D. Mm-hmm. So like price of games has gone way up. But it really hasn't when you think about inflation, I guess. Do you guys remember going to Toys R Us and like Blockbuster and like seeing games for sale and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for me it was like EB Games was the one where it was like you'd go in there and you'd see the price boost and it's like holy crap, like this is what it costs now, right? Mm-hmm. Like to get a game and like just these catalogs like bring the memories back like that.
Do you remember looking at the catalog, Christmas, like the holiday catalog arriving because there was no internet when you were really little?
Flip until you got that gaming page and
circle the games in the catalog just like this.
Yeah.
What games you want? Like seeing the prices didn't really matter.
Or going to Walmart and seeing like the actual display
and
just staring at the display and just like wishing, or the actual demo system.
I think for me, looking at this right now too, you look at the games back then and it's like when you think of your childhood for us, you had that one specific game. Right, and you'd play that game like crazy. And like looking at these prices, it makes sense now because it's like your parents couldn't go out and buy 3 games. The prices that they were, it's like you get this one game and you better love it.
Yeah, and like if you rented it from Blockbuster on the weekend, you better figure out how to get past the screen you can't beat because there's like very little internet, or like you better know a cousin or a friend who could beat it.
Oh,
talk
games
to each
without
other.
save points, you'd leave it on overnight and come back.
Oh my gosh, the NES when you didn't have save on some games, yes, leave the system on. So, talking about a comparison for the price, kind of, this isn't the most expensive console to be released at all. The PS3 was $600 for the 60 gigabyte one, and like with inflation now, that is probably $1,000. I remember that system. Everyone talking about that being way too expensive when it came out.
They had people run away from them. That's why the 360 took off. Right?
Yes,
they lost a big market share. They had the market share with the PS2. and they lost it because the 360 priced way lower.
That's true. And like, especially with, I know the PS3 was more powerful. And it was the strongest, most powerful one. That's what they wanted. They wanted the best system out. But like, they lost a lot of their market share that gen. Yep. Where PS2, they dominated that generation.
Everyone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They had over 150 million units sold, and then they added 10 million after. I feel like a year ago or 2 years ago, they just added 10 more million in sales to the PS2, which is shocking. But yes, then the PS3, they went way too powerful, and it had the Blu-ray player built in.
It did,
I think,
and that was one of their selling points. But like
the DVD player.
Yeah, to the average family, it's like we don't really care about the Blu-ray. We're more performance of the console, and
do we feel like this is as big of a mistake as overpricing the PS3 was? Nintendo's price point for the PS2.
It's a weird situation because they're now in the price point. You're gonna have those two types of gamers, or buyers or whatever. The ones that just focus on hardware, like they just want really high graphics, really high performance in general, but they completely forget that the whole thing about the Switch is the portability. But there's so many people out there, even reviews that I read, that they're like, I don't care about the portability, I want the graphics. But it's hard to sell when you're at the same price point as the PS5, and to basically keep it in the same price point, but sell the portability to people that don't want it.
You just made me think of something kind of unique where, like, you had the Switch Lite, handheld only?
Yeah.
They never made a docked only Switch, where it's like the high performance kind of like PlayStation version where there's no handheld mode. It's just docked, and maybe it's $100 less or something because you're not getting that device that you can take on the go.
And PlayStation did that in their last release, right? They had two different consoles they released. They released the digital only and the disc.
Yes.
And that's kind of how they separated their gamers. It's like, we've got the one for the people that like to collect. You've still got your digital copy. You want your hard copy. You've got it. The bigger part of the population for people gaming now is the people that are perfectly fine to buy it online, just want a game. Here's your console that's going to cost $150, $200 less.
That would be brilliant, actually, for a lot of people. I think they would enjoy that because I do hear from so many people, I never used it undocked. I'm only playing it docked. I'm like 95% a docked player.
Even the Switch saying, hey, we're going to release one that's in that old price point and it's only digital purchase, I feel like they'd sell a bunch of them.
Maybe that's something in their plan coming.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not, because they didn't want to confuse the consumer with too many options at launch. It's probably good just to have the two SKUs, the system, and then the system with Mario Kart downloaded. Like, I get that. But if they have a pro version later on where it's not, you can't take it on the go for a lower price point, and maybe it's download only. What do you guys think, by the way? If you want to comment, if you could be interested in something like that, because that's something I've never thought of before.
I would love to see, because if you were to take out the screen from the Switch or Switch 2, how much they have taken all the components inside that drive it and made them so small. The size of a console without the screen but the same performance would be
the dock.
It would be
the dock.
It'd be the size of almost like a cell phone.
Yeah.
The number of people that would buy that can just slip into their backpack.
Yep.
That would be.
But I mean, I don't know how often you're bringing a system around. Not too often, but unless it had a projector.
We're back to the projector.
Back to the projector built in the dock, which we all really want, which would be pretty sweet. That'd be a cool pro version, where you can't take it on the go, but you can because it docks anywhere. Has a built-in 100-hour battery pack. That'd be pretty sweet. So I feel like this price point is not as big of a mistake, let's say, as what the PS3 was priced at. But a lot of consumers are really scared. Now to get the system and to even play Mario Kart, you're well over $500. With taxes and stuff, you're over $550.
Yeah, I think the only thing that is going to save the Switch is the fact that the old Joy-Cons will be able to play on their system. So they're not pressuring their consumer to buy new controllers, right? So it's like if everyone goes out, buys the Switch, buys Mario Kart, you can still have those other controllers and you're fine.
As long as that, because that's what we heard, that the old Pro controllers and the Joy-Cons do work from the Switch 1 on the Switch 2. But we mentioned in the other video, you can't charge, obviously, the Switch 1 Joy-Cons on the Switch 2. You have to put them back in your Switch or a charging grip or whatever. But if the Pro controllers can work, that would save us a lot of money, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to only buy the system and you have like 2 or 3 Pro controllers, if you have them, being able to use those. Okay, moving on from the price of the system, the price of everything else. There's a lot of accessories that I just have a list of prices for here. The Pro controller is going to be $80. So that's 10 more than the original Pro controller. with inflation, just $10 more, I guess, sort of makes sense considering it's been out for like 8 years, the original Pro controller. The Joy-Con controllers, though, are $90. Again, up $10 more than the original launched, I guess, price of them. The charging grip's $35. The strap is $13. And the strap looks like it's very, very minimal this time around. So the price of the strap seems kind of obnoxious for it to be this little clip-on thing. That seems a little weird. The set of 2 wheels is $20. And then the big thing that most people need to get or want to get is the official camera, being $50. It's a 1080p camera, but I feel like for so much of the gaming, that's like almost a requirement to get the full experience with that C button chat mode. For the camera, is $50 too much, too little? I mean, it's 2025. You can buy webcams with that quality camera probably for way less expensive. But we feel like there's more technology in the camera, like, than just it being a camera, right? Do you just want to speak to a bit of that, either of you?
I think if you want it, I think it's probably worth it. As long as it is actually, and I said this in the other video, as long as it's not just straight up a camera. If there is other tech in it, then I feel like $50 is probably worth it. If you need that feature.
This is the website, obviously, in Europe for the price point. It's going to be €50, and this is what the box will look like, it seems. Connor, what do you think about the $50 price point for a camera? USD.
I mean, it depends. Like, if you're a person that wants the camera and you're going to use it, you're going to do the share screen, you're going to play Jamboree and have your face pop up in the game, it's worth it.
If it can work for multiple people, like that, I don't know if I've seen that, where like there's 2 of us on the couch.
So I've seen, like, in their Nintendo Direct, they had one where they're playing Jamboree, and it's like almost like the cursor pops up, and it's your face from the camera.
Yes.
So that's 4 people.
But was it 4 people in the same room? And, like, the idea of it is to be online, and you can see my face from our own houses. But, like, if Mark and I are in the same room, can it put both of our faces...
If it has that tech, then it's worth every penny.
Yeah, like, can it put both of our faces in the same room above our, like, icons and differentiate there's 2 faces, like, playing in the same room? Or is it, like, only one person when you're online?
Or if, like, you're sitting on the couch playing and it's turned on and someone else walks in to say hi, is it all of a sudden going to flip to them? Like, will it be able to stay on the person it's supposed to stay on?
It seems like the tech, especially where it can, like, cancel out people behind you and, like, look like a green screen effect. Like, it seems like there's a bit of tech in the head of the camera for that price point. There is other versions of the camera that are going to be a little bit less expensive, that aren't as good. There's the Piranha Plant one that is €33. We think it's going to be $40. This is kind of neat, but the quality of the camera is only 480p. This I want way more on my mantle than anything else. Something like this would be a lot better and make a lot more sense in terms of, like, just a cute design if you're looking for something like that. But the price, $10 less, the camera's way worse, and it might not have the same capabilities as the better camera, as we were saying. So that's just in terms of the camera. The other price list, just going back to that for a moment. Okay, then we have the dock is going to be $110. That's going to come with the adapter, though, the USB-C cable, and the high-speed HDMI cable. That is a lot just for the dock, but the dock has the fan. So it's got to be more expensive with the fan this time, I guess, than the original one.
And it depends if it's helping with... Maybe it helps with the 4K image.
Maybe it upscales, or maybe it's doing something with the system.
But if it's literally just a fan, then... I don't know.
Not a big fan, Mark. The carrying case and screen protector is $34. There's a bigger one that's $79, and then the AC adapter itself is $29. But mainly for the games are going to be a little bit more expensive. Mario Kart, we said, is more expensive, but then the rest of them could be all over the place for how much they cost. Who knows? We might have games costing even more. Like, if Grand Theft Auto somehow comes out on the Switch 2 near launch... Or what's that new game coming out from the creators of, like, Dark Souls? It looks outstanding on the Switch. I'm just blanking. Bloodborne, but it's not Bloodborne. Anyways, it looks fantastic. I'm wondering if games are going to be even more expensive moving forward. I could see games in 5 years being $100, honestly, like Grand Theft Auto. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised.
They hinted at a new 007 game, so maybe that will be...
Another GoldenEye 007 game, maybe? If they pick a different James Bond already or something, maybe a new game coming out for that.
That could be the $100 one.
Just for that reason.
Well, I mean, if we're talking game chat and online, throwing a 007 game in where you could play online, like, that's $100.
I remember them re-releasing GoldenEye on the Wii and everyone being so excited about that, and that didn't really do it. But if we have the game chat with all the video and stuff, like with first-person shooters, that could actually be a blast with mouse mode and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So costs are going up, inflation's going up. The Switch 2 is going to be $450. That's a lot. Games are going to be $80 US, maybe a little bit less for certain games. But I feel like Nintendo's the first to do it, which is shocking. Like, that to me is the most shocking thing, that Nintendo's first to raise the prices of games. I didn't expect that. I really thought they wouldn't be, like, first to market to raise prices of games. I thought it would have been Grand Theft Auto. I thought it would have been Dark Souls 6, or whatever the next Dark Souls games will be.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're starting to see the deal. Like, the deluxe editions for a lot of games have been very expensive lately. Like, borderline $150, $200 for some. So, like, it's been there. It's just the base pricing hasn't been there. So maybe Nintendo is the first one to take the leap for the base pricing because they don't have the crazy deluxe editions. Maybe that's why.
I mean, just for the Zelda games, it was 200 Canadian for the special edition of the Master Edition of Breath of the Wild, right? Where you got everything, and I think US dollars, that was 150 or something, which was a lot. But you got a lot with it. But that was a lot to spend on one game for one experience. That was remarkable.
It might be worth mentioning, though, that Satoru Iwata, he was directly involved in the creation of the Switch, and he was always about like that family experience, bring down costs and everything. So the Switch 2 he had nothing to do with. So this might be something to do with new management going forward.
Yeah, and future-proofing the price a little bit, maybe also thinking that this is going to last a really long time. Nintendo never drops their prices of things if they can help it. Their systems for Switch are super similar, the same price at launch. Their games...
No, the games is super frustrating.
They almost never drop in price. Mm-hmm. It maintains value, which is obscene. I went to pick up
Strikers the other day, and it's still the same ridiculous price.
Unless you go on Marketplace or something, buy it used, it's maintaining the prices. So maybe that's why they picked such a high price point. Mm-hmm. My gut is it's not dropping. It's not dropping for launch for sure. It might go up because of tariffs, if anything. And then I think they're going to gauge how the sales go. And if it does not go well, I would see a price drop at Christmas, I think down to $400 US. If everything goes well with tariffs and they have the supply for it and the demand's not there, I think they would have a price drop. But I'm not sure.
Have to have a special on. So they're doing the summer release, right? But by Christmas time, there's going to be a special for the Switch with Mario Kart.
And maybe that's $450. With it included.
Like, there's going to be something, because they always know that they can hit that sale, like, threshold. They can hit that market at Christmas time. Every single kid at that age wants Mario Kart and a Switch at Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So desperately. So the Switch 2 is coming out. We're going to pay for it. We're going to get it day one. But if I can get my hands on it, the other console launches, like, thinking back in the history, like, N64 I bought with my own money after it was out for a few years. Saved up money to try and get it. GameCube I didn't get at launch, but close to it. The Wii, though, I tried to get at launch, and I couldn't for 2 weeks. I was 2 weeks late, and I tried. I tried so hard. The Switch, though, I was able to get right at launch. I hope the Switch 2 we're all able to get at launch if we want it. I hope all the consumers are able to get it at launch if they really want it, and we're going to have to pay a lot to get it, but... yeah, let's pay $700 plus Canadian dollars to play Mario Kart at launch and Breath of the Wild again. I'm a sucker for it, but it's going to be really fun, and all the games moving forward. Donkey Kong's not out until July, I think. I don't know if it's at launch, is it? Donkey Kong. We're going to figure that out right now. Donkey Kong launch dates. Bonanza. When are you coming out? This is Switch 2. Because if it's out at launch, I would buy that on day one. But it depends when it's releasing. It looks like it's not releasing until July 17th. Yes, so the biggest game, obviously, at launch is Mario Kart. That's the one I'll need to get. And then there's other ones like Kirby's Air Riders and everything. But yeah, gonna pay a lot of money for Mario Kart. I'm still beside myself that we'll be playing the same Mario Kart since 2014. Mario Kart 8.
That's true.
A decade.
Yeah.
So like, you know how we waited so long for Breath of the Wild? And it was a huge open world game. And then Tears of the Kingdom, you waited like 6 years. And it's like, oh, that's why. They made a huge change to the game. And they put a lot of effort into it. Mario Kart World being an interconnected world. We waited 10 years. That's why. I guess I'm willing to pay the price.
I feel like that game is going to feel completely different. Like, we could have our own episode just on what Mario Kart is going to look like.
Yeah, that might be for another time. All right, that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know if you guys are willing to pay the price of $450 US at launch. Are the games too expensive? I really appreciate Connor and Mark being here. to help record this video. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here also. Go collect them all. Keep smiling while gaming. See you guys soon, and hopefully I'll continue to bring you discussion videos. Let us know if you like this sort of format as a discussion. Thanks so much. Stay awesome.